Hi, I'm Susan May, and I have a son, Nick, who is a heart patient. And he was born in 1989, and in 1991, he received a heart transplant. And today he is 20. He is 30, almost 34 years old, and married and has a young daughter. And he is gainfully employed and owns his own home and doesn't live with me. So, been successful in those areas. Um, but when he was for his 25th anniversary of his heart transplant, we celebrated with a party. But for his 30th, I wrote a second edition of his book called Nick's New Heart. I had written it when he was 18 years old, and I decided that there was more to it, so I did an addition to the book, and this one is called Nick's New Heart, 30 Years and Counting, and it came out on his 30th anniversary. This year he'll be celebrating his 33rd anniversary with his heart. So I'm going to share with you a excerpt out of Nick's New Heart, 30 Years and Counting. A heart transplant was our backup plan. On the other hand, we knew how well children who had received a heart transplant did because we had seen them when we visited the hospital on TV and at the heart-to-heart party. They definitely showed the positive side of transplantation. Dr. Cantor phoned at noon the next day. "Why haven't you called sooner?" I demanded. Andy and I had been nervously waiting for his call. "I've been busy. I had an adult transplant at Emory this morning and had to do a short surgery at Eggleston." "Oh, I guess you were busy." "What did you decide?" he asked. "We think we should go with the next stage of surgery." "What did the test show?" "It showed that he has no antibodies." I was shocked. We were so confident Nick's antibodies would be too high that we didn't really seriously consider a transplant. Plus, we were afraid to get our hopes up. I asked again, "What do you think we should do?" "I think we should transplant," Dr. Cantor said. After a short silence to let the information sink in, I said, "Okay, but do you mind if we have Dr. Russell look at the films?" Peter Russell was the cardiologist Nick saw after his first surgery, and he was now practicing in Boston. My wise mother had suggested we get a second opinion. "I don't mind. I think that would be a good idea. I'll send Nick's films off to him right away. Then you and Andy can decide what you want to do." "I know what I want." "What's that?" he asked. "I want Nick and you to have your picture taken together each year. I want Nick to grow tall enough to put his arm around your shoulders." Tears gathered in my eyes. "I want Nick to live to invite you to his career day at school. I want him to invite you to his graduations and wedding. What I didn't say was that I wanted Nick to live." There was a long pause before Dr. Cantor said, "Let me know what you decide." After telling Andy about my conversation, his response was, "So you decided to do the transplant?" He thought he'd been left out of the decision. I reminded him that he had made the decision about the Norwood procedure. I thought it was my turn. I explained to Andy because of the lack of antibodies now, because Nick would have additional surgery, that this could be his best chance for a successful transplant. Andy agreed it was the correct course. A week later, on February the 8th, 1991, we were in Dr. Cantor's office. "Dr. Russell thinks the transplant is the right decision," he said. Dr. Cantor gave us an earnest look. "Nick will have quality of life with a heart transplant." We trusted him to be right. A good life was just what we wanted for Nick. we met Corby, one of the heart transplant coordinators, who works with the patients waiting for hearts, being worked up for possible transplants, and post-transplant. She and the other coordinators handle routine care, after hours calls, and are an invaluable part of the transplant team. Nick was listed. It was just that simple, or so it seemed. I felt as if we were on a runaway roller coaster. Although we had the right to say stop at any time, it wouldn't have been the best for Nick. Sometimes life takes over with no choice but to go along with it. For some reason, the idea of Nick being a transplant was exciting. In some ways, the idea of Nick getting a transplant was exciting. In other ways, it was terrifying. I prayed we'd made the correct decision. What's Nick's age? The coordinator asked. 1 year, he'll be 2 on April the 5th. The coordinator wrote on a form. How much does he weigh? She asked. 19 pounds. Do you know his blood type? I thought for a minute. It's AB positive, like mine. Dr. Cantor overheard our conversation and turned to me. Are you sure? Yes, he has the same as me. Dr. Cantor smiled because AB positive is not a common blood type, which makes it easier to find a match, hopefully a good match. He gave a number to the coordinator that I did not understand, but I knew it was significant to Nick's position on the list. Do you have a pager? He asked me. I shook my head. No, you'll need to get one. The transplant team needed to reach out to us at any time because a heart only has a 4 to 6 hour cold ischemic time. The clock starts at the minute the heart is removed from the donor and stops when it is transplanted into Nick. The sooner an organ can be placed in Nick, the better the odds of the transplant being successful. Today, Nick can put his arm around Dr. Cantor's shoulders. He's tall enough, and Dr. Cantor attended his wedding and has been at a number of the major events in Nick's life, including that heart transplant. I honor him and am grateful to him during this month of hearts. Thank you for listening to a little bit from Nick's new heart, 30 years and counting. And again, thank God we are still counting. Bye-bye.